Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And
let's play a game together!
Yes, alright.
Here we go.
Someone grab that worm!
That whole ass worm!
At least he didn't say grab my worm, you know?
We are standing in the middle of Lastamil's estate grounds, watching a grey mass burrow its way out of sight. Beside me, Nadia quickly recovers from her shock and approaches the praetor with displeasure.
Did we? We did get out to admire it first. Well, and then the thing came crashing towards us, didn't it?
No, we didn't. No, we were in the carriage and the wheel got broken, remember?
So we're in the carriage, then how are we suddenly standing while the giant worm is burrowing into the ground?
I don't know, because we're apparently leaning out of the windows.
We're standing in the carriage. Okay, we're just standing in the carriage.
And then we've walked out.
I guess. What exactly is going on here?
Vlastimil looks wildly distressed and so very forlorn. He rushes towards us, tears in his eyes.
Like someone sad about their little, purse dog, teacup dog. Fluffy! Oh dear! Fluffy! Countess! Oh, I am so distressed. I am so deeply distressed by this turn of events. Ruining my carriage.
I hope.
I just Corazon judging. What? No, my prized worm Wiggler in the garden has escaped. Sounds like a racehorse name.
Yes. I was thinking about that also, it's my prime pooch. Basically, they have long, stupid, elaborate names. Here's my show name. I'm also just I love this. Because there's almost this level of going, so are you saying in this world, then, that due to Nadia's, sort of pseudo-lack of, alarm, I want to say, and I'm not saying that she needs to, she can be incredibly composed, and I get that, but also, your main character being completely chill about this for the most part is really weird, because that means that giant worms are everywhere in this world.
That means this is a normal animal experience, because your MC has no problems with it. Now, we did have an experience of Corazon going, what is that thing?
Not saying that you need to
find... like a, dear God, what is that thing? Or holy crap, or any of those things, just what is that? Oh, it's a giant worm.
Fascinating. Which is also really interesting, because I know on average, I think worms are cute, but I will have to say that if a worm was as large as they're implying, I might be a little distressed.
Especially if it was
genuinely
barreling off somewhere. Worms don't usually move that fast. They can twitch really quickly, but they don't locomote quickly.
They really don't, actually, so... I'm not really...
Wriggler in the garden has escaped. I see. Tail as it's scooting deeper into the ground.
I feel like I'm watching, a Tim Burton monster scoot away.
trying desperately to get further into the ground.
So it should be pooping then, aggressively.
Oh God.
But it's true. That's how the worm...
If it's eating its way into the ground, yes, then it should be making castings.
It should be pooping. Really aggressively. You're
Perhaps
just sitting here watching.
It's not an earthworm.
Because remember the joke about acorn worms, right?
Oh, I know.
And
the thing is to eat farther forward. If they're not digging, but they're just chewing their way through things, they just have to act like basically a tube.
Yeah, well, and that's the big thing is the reason worms do that though is because they're eating the food. There is food actually in soil.
Because they're not actually eating the dirt. What they're doing is eating things in the dirt.
Like microorganisms, or potentially in this case, since this worm is so large, maybe they're eating ground squirrels or various I don't know, hairs.
Maybe they should eat all the other bugs in the dirt.
Yeah, that's
because it's again sorting out microorganisms. They just sort out all the other bugs.
Yeah, and that's fine too. I'm saying there's a lot of things.
So what is a praetor again? We looked that up, didn't we?
I don't actually recall what a praetor is. Hang on. Do you really want me to? You can.
We've been trying to learn what all of the titles are in an effort to understand Nadia as world better. So for anyone who's here just now, we've already played Julian's Route, and it didn't tell much about politics at all because that's not his bag. And so we've been trying to now focus a little harder on exactly what her world is so we can understand it better. Praetor does what?
Praetor is, so a general Google definition, so I don't know exactly where this one comes from.
You can always just try Webster's.
No, but I have two of them.
Oh, okay.
So for the basic one it's a noun. Each of the two, so there are supposed to be two of them, ancient Roman magistrates ranking below consul.
Okay.
Right? Then somebody went, what does a praetor do? So according to Britannica.com, it says praetor, plural praetors or praetores, in ancient Rome was a judicial officer who had broad authority in cases of equity, who was responsible for the production of the public games, and in the absence of consuls, exercised extensive authority in the government.
Okay.
But
well,
the thing is it's clearly very Roman, so I'm kind of like, while I am amused that they're choosing to use
is
Roman...
there a non-Roman definition?
As far as I can tell, no. Praetors
Okay.
only existed then when...
So basically, this is the person that ran the games back when Lucio had them.
Yes, except that
Because
apparently...
public entertainment?
I guess, so why was he then the judge?
Well,
I guess public
legal matters?
entertainment?
No, it did
It did say legal.
in matters of something.
Equity.
Equity, so maybe that's a matter of equity.
Right, what do you consider... What is a matter... Hang on.
I don't know what a matter
is
of equity...
a matter of equity? Just
is
so
that
we
a
can
legal
have...
thing?
What is a matter of equity?
Also, why would he stop doing his job just because Nadia was asleep? Or, like, I get the impression that we haven't had public entertainment for a while. So I'm thinking he's not doing his job unless he's doing, like, giant worm races or something like that. We missed it.
A court of equity, for an example. So this is from law.edu, so Cornell Law.
Okay.
A court of equity is a type of court that hears cases involving remedies of other monetary damages, such as injunctions, writs, or specific performance and court of law, only hearing cases involving monetary damages.
Oh my god, you killed my husband, therefore I'm out the money he's worth.
Yes.
I'm out his monetary value here, this case. That's what I'm hearing. That's freaking hilarious. Okay. Be that as it may.
But according
Praetor.
to... Hang on, real quick. So in jurisdictions, so this is from Wikipedia, in jurisdictions following the English common law system, equity is the body of law which was developed in the English Court of Chancery and is now administered concurrently with the common law. The use of the word equity in other law systems is outside the scope of this article. Let it be mentioned that under Napoleonic law, the civil judge judging in droit et in etiquette, I guess, in written law and in equity, must say the law even if there is no appropriate or conclusive written law applying to the case brought before them. Hang on, let's see. Do you have any...
I think that gives me an idea. I was just like, why would he stop doing entertainment stuff? Because of...
So apparently, though, modern equity, according to Wikipedia, includes, among other things, the law relating to express, resulting, and constructive trusts, judiciary law, equitable estoppel, including promissory and propitiatory estoppel,
Yeah,
relief
money
against
stuff.
Penalties and relief against forfeiture, and the doctrines, excuse me, because it's very specific, of contribution, subrogation, and marshalling, and equitable set-off.
Then what I'm guessing is that she didn't have anyone else who does any legal matters of any kind in her entire, court and publics and political system at all. Mm-hmm. And so she picked him because he at least does try some political matters. Because
Right.
he does matters of equity, which I assume some people would have, given that they're in, essentially a massive economic decline because of, losing all of their leadership for
Right.
at least 1 year, but possibly 3 if she doesn't remember the other 2. Who knows what she was doing?
Honestly, I'm kind of curious because it makes the place sort of sound a little, I guess, like a court of fools, as it were, where you just basically have everybody going, what we are is we're all monsters, and we all picked cool-sounding names, and we went, yes, I'm going to be that thing, without really understanding what it was.
Well, the
and
weird thing
Nadia
is,
really starting to get involved was this whole thing of going, like, hang on, what's going on? And then, of course, she forgot, what she was probably doing there and what, her whole role was, so she was unconscious for basically 3 years. So they were all able to fuck around as much as they wanted to.
She would have done things for the 2 years that she doesn't remember, unless something else was going on there.
I imagine that she was basically being puppeteered in some fashion, like when it came to something
she might have been
like that.
possessed, and so that's why she doesn't remember it?
Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't make much sense to me.
Unless someone wiped her memory and then put her in a coma.
That's always possible. It could be both.
Could be both. Anyway, I think it's very interesting, but I'm also like, does public entertainment, do you not do your job at all, Praetor, unless you're being immediately directed by the Countess? Because, you should be doing something.
It's also humorous to consider that many people probably were completely disengaged from what everyone in the court, really was supposed to be doing. They just have a title, that is a general, whatever that means. That is a consul. What is that? Well, he's clearly a person in charge, yes?
Be that as it may, all of those things.
Yes.
Praetor, we are here on business.
And you don't fucking engage with the...
You and I must have words. Words? How could I have words now when such misfortune and woe has befallen my great house? I still like calling him Goblin Frollo. He really does.
He really is.
Looks like Goblin Frollo to me.
Vlastimil notices me standing beside Nadia, and his eyes widen as he zeroes in on me.
Which is appropriate, because he should be terrified. You have 2 hands which look perfectly good for grabbing worms. You must find her. You must, please. You must do it for me. Blah. Corazon? No. Oh my god, there's nothing else Corazon would say.
I can't even...
No.
What? No.
That would just be no.
No.
No, and a period. No.
No. We're here to talk to you, Vlastimil, not catch your worm.
Oh my god. That sounds so amazing when Corazon says it. Specifically, your worm, with a sense of like, ew.
Your worm.
Uh-huh. You came here to find my worm, and I won't say another word until she's found. But she was found before they got... She was not lost until after they got here, so they couldn't possibly have come here for that unless they see the future, my dear person. So, you're being stupid, Vlastimil.
It's okay. I think Vlastimil is a bit of a dunce anyway. It's alright.
We're saying, is Vlastimil friendly, though?
I don't think Vlastimil, from the vibe that I got from them, was sort of like less harmful leaning compared to like
the others?
So Valdemar is just mean. Like, so on the scale of amenities, you've got basically like Valdemar, who is actually like, I am nasty, and then you've got Volgora, who is like, I'm here for the chaos and the fuckery, and I don't really care, but also more dangerous in that sort of sense.
And not necessarily.
Yeah, so you have directed, malice in regards to Valdemar, and you've got a little bit less direction, a little bit more chaotic when it comes to Volgora. Vlastimil is a little bit, I think he's honestly a little bit, like,
more
less...
neutral?
Yeah, more neutral, and the most neutral / probably more, like, and most people have said it was basically, like, Volgora is just baby.
No.
Volta. Volta, excuse me,
Volta.
Thank you. Volta is baby.
Volta is baby. Okay, so... Yeah. No. Corazon.
Even though, honestly, if she's here, that probably means terrible things have happened, and so I wouldn't... fine.
I was just trying to figure out what kind of a dummy he is, basically. It's fine.
What kind of a dummy are you?
No. Corazon is quite right. We're here to speak to you. And I'll thank you not to treat them like a tool to be ordered about at your will. Here for my will.
She puts a hand on my shoulder, leveling Vlastimil with a glare that could move mountains. Vlastimil parts his lips to speak again, when a loud crack sounds from the mansion.
The entire graphic splits, half the mansion goes sliding off screen, just like they do in cartoons.
Aha!
Just that slow sinking sliding.
There it goes, you pissed me off. We all whirled to see what's causing the commotion, in time to spot a slimy grey tail disappearing through the double doors.
Alright, so it was digging into the ground, and then it's going back into the house? Wiggler! No!
Like, we apparently talk for a real long-ass time if it's disappeared that quickly, or is it a different worm? We don't know.
If it tried digging into the ground, then failed to dig into the ground, then turned around and left and none of us noticed. Also, find your worm, it was literally right there.
Yeah.
Like, we could see its tail sticking out of the ground, so it's not like it needs found. Someone just needs to get hold of it.
It's got mucus on it, too. You should start grabbing it.
Corazon going, I'm not grabbing that.
No.
In these gloves?
No. Vlastimil, sorry, I had a brain fart there. Okay. Vlastimil lets out a strangled gasp, and then freezes completely, as if catatonic. Nadia and I exchange glances, though honestly I don't probably care much. It's a lot of smiling.
There's a bit of light flirting that goes on between them, like, wow, he's a disaster.
This is amazing.
It seems like I can't even tell when she has her blush face on. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Because there's a level of, like, pinkishness anyway. It seems Vlastimil is suffering from worm-related shock.
Woe is me.
Well, that quite puts a damper on any conversation we, not you and I, but we might have. Come, Corazon. I suppose we must find this worm and set Vlastimil to rights.
So we are sort of saying, by the lack of, like, conversation about this worm, to me, really is going, like, the worms are normal. This is normal.
This is normal. This creature is completely normal. Based on this experience here, We're not going, it's a fabulous creature, it's a super unusual creature, what is it, where does it come from? Like right now, the response is, this is a normal Tuesday.
Look, normal creature. Here we go.
This is a regular Tuesday afternoon. Then he and I shall have a little chat about his future in my court, I think. Does he do a job for you now?
Does he do any job?
Because usually people aren't in your court unless they perform some kind of service.
Usually.
They do a thing. Like, even like ladies in waiting, handmaidens, they do things.
Even if it's really just to, like, be there and look slutty and fabulous, like, that is a purpose.
I mean, also, like, ladies in waiting, they also usually are, like, your chaperones. They're also, like, they will also run interference. They also help you get out of social situations you don't want to be in. Like, there's a lot of, like, political stuff they do, as well as they find all the gossip for you, which is actually really helpful gossip, not just entertain me.
Yeah, pretty much. We head into the mansion, and hot on the tail of the worm, but stop as we pass the double doors. I've never seen a building so confusingly designed. Doors that lead nowhere. I can tell instantly.
I can tell. Okay, I've walked into the front door, and I'm in the foyer, and I can tell there's doors that lead to nothing. Are they open with a wall behind them?
Like, is that what that is?
Also, why do I not assume that maybe there's something else to it?
All right.
It's fine.
Like, all I'm hearing is suddenly we just either perceive or every single door is open. And somehow we can also see every single door from our single inside.
From just walking in the entryway, we can also see down all the halls.
Oh, yeah, doors that lead nowhere and halls that suddenly stop in dead ends. As if the manse itself were trying to disorient us. I don't think I've ever heard anybody call a mansion a manse.
I have, like, one time, but it was a really specific instance, and so I'm kind of surprised they use it here.
I am too, especially, like, that gives us a weird level of knowledge, actually, because that's not a common thing that a lot of people know.
I'm wondering if that's just how Corazon conjugates it?
I don't know. Actually, that's...
Like, I mean, I definitely haven't heard Astra talking about mansions very much. That seems like a word that would be really unusual for them to just know.
I'm also like, hang on. A manse, according to Google definition, is the house occupied by a minister of a Presbyterian church. So, like, the minister's house, the vicarage, the personage, the rectory, the deanery, or the glebe house, right?
So,
and I'm going...
This is, then, basically a childlike way to conjugate the word mansion. And it's basically indicative of our characters, you know, knowledge.
It really is. Your character just sitting here going, like, yes, you have the little... I'm like, there really is Arcana Jesus, then, in this.
No, but even without that, even without it being religious, just think about the way, like, kids, when they're learning language and they learn to conjugate things, you just extrapolate how it would work.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing, like, you know, lift me up, lift me down kind of thing.
Right.
Or like, there are word things that kids will do, and I know the MC is meant to be an adult, but knowing that they're only 3, they are essentially a child. And so, like, there's still a lot of language learning they could be doing, even as they have seemingly a very accelerated learning process and, you know, maturity. And so, like, if the author's meant to basically conjugate mansion to manse, or they're thinking for some reason of Lastimos being a religious figure.
Even though that's never come up and has never been a part of his character, which I will clarify. I didn't know what manse meant. I instantly kind of went, is that supposed to be an interesting word for mansion? Like, what is with the usage of manse? And now the fact that it's specifically, like, a religious, you know, basically a residence, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, the thing is, as far as I know, he's not religious at all. I also haven't heard of any religion in this game at all.
Not even slightly.
I think it would be interesting if suddenly they decided to actually develop your character's basically
religious, cultural background?
No, educational level and the way they learn language.
Yeah, okay.
And so they are just conjugating it interestingly, going, that's how you would conjugate it, because you wouldn't say the mansion itself, you could just say the manse.
Right? I don't know, as if the manse itself were trying to disorient us. The rectory of the father is trying to confuse us.
It's alright.
It's okay. Ahead of us, there is a 3-way split in the path.
I'm also interested that they didn't want to draw a confusing architecture at all.
The worm's screams echo throughout the hall from no discernible direction, because the spice is life.
Yes.
What I'm hearing is that this is something, again, that's out of,
Dune.
Either Dune or, it's...
Beetlejuice.
No, not just Beetlejuice, but what's the other one? Where there's the wormies that eat everybody. It was the big, huge 90s horror monster thing.
Oh, you're saying this is from Tremors?
Yeah, this is Tremors.
Tremors.
We have a Tremors critter.
My friend
completely normal.
Hasn't even seen Tremors.
I haven't.
And I had to explain Tremors to them, and then the experience of graboids and stuff. And honestly, for movies that are considered horror movies, I actually have liked that one because like it does make me uncomfortable. And I will say that someone making the entire ground dangerous was a ballsy ass move and effective.
But except
because,
the thing
damn.
is, floor is lava.
Except for the thing is, it's like, it's just the floor will eat you.
No, I know, but the floor is lava.
And it's just that kind of thing. And so, like some of the ground could be safe, maybe, but it probably isn't, and it won't stay that way.
The floor is lava.
Anyway, I kind of loved it. All right.
Throughout the hall, with no discernible direction.
Oh,
Wow!
Pick one. Left.
We follow the left path down the hall that soon grows darker with every step.
Hang on a second. I mean, I didn't mean to stop you or anything, but I was going to actually, like, pull out and talk about it. But also, would Corazon have done a snap decision? And also, why was that a time decision?
I don't know.
No discernible direction. Is the floor going to drop out from under you if you don't pick something?
I actually don't understand why that was timed either. I was actually going to comment on that, which is part of the reason I was like, oh, we'll just pick a thing. It doesn't matter to me.
It's okay. I also would be very interested to see what happens if the time runs out. Sort of what happened when we let time run out with Julian's route.
Yeah, it seems to, as far as we could tell, it just picks the default, whatever it thinks the default is. For whatever that is, they really do actually have a default response, which is interesting. Because we actually went back with where in the beginning.
Well, it was Corazon specifically that didn't respond to Julian and just was like, I am not going to like react to you in a panicky fashion.
Except then, according to the canon, they went, oh, of course you'd attack this person, and
which is
like,
weird.
What? Why?
I know. Anyway, so I would like to know.
Freezing is not the same as attacking. Thank you.
I would be very interested in knowing what more of the choices are when you don't do anything, because technically that should be 4 choices. There should be a 4th one if you do nothing.
Right?
All right.
A low hum fills the air. Louder as we continue on until the buzzing fills our ears. Ahead of us, the hall ends at a set of dark mahogany doors.
Mahogany is not going to match this like interior like stonework at all.
No. The noise seems to be originating behind it. Though I suppose if you had the blue and then you have the sort of reddish brown, which is what mahogany usually is colored, it wouldn't be bad. But what?
A set of doors behind it. What's it?
Oh, behind them.
Behind them?
Yeah, behind the doors, mahogany doors, so it sounds like 2 doors, so you'd be like behind them.
Yeah, I know, but it says behind it. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm like, behind what?
It should be them.
That door, behind them.
Behind them.
Whatever is behind that one door, but not the other door?
Oh, we suddenly went from doors to door?
I think the doors fused. The mansion is trying to confuse us.
Yeah.
There was doors, and now they're literally one door.
That's it. There's just
whatever
a door.
Is behind that door. I advise caution. Pulls out a hunting rifle, points it at the door.
I
had it stored in my bustle. It's fine. Well, no use wasting time, I suppose. Stay behind me, Corazon.
All right. She reaches out and opens the doors.
It's 2 doors again.
Now we've moved back to 2 doors. They swing back with a low creak and reveal a room stained red.
How do we know it's stained red instead of like colored red, painted red, papered red?
Mulch covers the ground, peppered with stark white animal bones that jut out at odd angles. On every surface writhe blood-colored beetles. One skitters over my foot, clicking its mandibles at me, and scurries away.
Out into the hall? Okay, if every surface is covered with them, when you open the doors, don't they sort of come wandering out slowly?
I would imagine, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't imagine they'd all be in an organized rush, but like if you open the side of an ant farm, they start walking out.
Yeah, they kind of do. They go, oh, space! They just do the slide. Also, like, every time now that they've brought up the beetles, I honestly have always thought of the mummy.
Oh god, every time.
Yeah,
I'm like, the clicking stupid scarabs. Yes.
Yeah, because that's really, like, they were really obviously like, we are intelligent creatures that go, hello, click, 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 and I look at you. And I will interact with you, despite the fact that most beetles actually can't see all that well. As far as I understand.
Alrighty. Beetles. Just freezes in the doorway. The 2 doors open beside her. She's flung them open, brilliantly, and it's just like...
Glimmer and shimmer of red
beetles
everywhere.
I would have actually expected us to mistake them for something else. Basically, be like, there's a sheet of blood on everything, or everything shines with a red liquid.
And then I realized it's
beetles.
moving.
Exactly. I would have expected that more.
Yeah, do more horror like that.
Not even that reason, but because they try so hard to be atmospheric, that would have made sense.
Yes.
Like, I would have expected
I wonder, honestly, if they were kind of concerned that they weren't going to be, like, grossing a bunch of people out who are, super discomforted by insects. If
we can do Beetle-Julian, then we could have a floor. We already have a floor of beetles.
That's true.
I don't know.
But maybe this is too early. You can only have horror like that later on.
Where have I seen them before?
She closes her eyes with a soft, pained noise, and then shakes her head as if casting the ache away, while the beetles keep swarming.
And scooting.
And
moving.
starting to crawl up our legs, but that's okay. She's going to have a headache.
One crawls over my foot, and the rest of them all magically stay inside the room.
The answer is no.
They were important once.
Nadia reaches down and scoops one of the beetles up, examining it with detached coldness. Okay, I have to say, so I think this is fascinating because I appreciate what they're trying to do is make Nadia basically the most hard-ass of hard-asses.
Okay.
And it leaves me very confused because I'm like, you can have people who are discomforted by shit that's clearly not natural.
That are still badasses.
Like, that are still badasses.
Yes.
And I don't think you would be taking, like, anything away from Nadia for her to be reasonably like, that's a giant fucking worm and that's weird as hell. Hi, this is an entire room covered in beetles and has bones littered everywhere and it's gross and nasty and nope, I'm just going to be completely detached and have nothing. Unless basically she's so disassociated.
Go ahead.
Like, that's the only thing I could really think of, but that seems strange for her.
A room full of beetles and white, dry bones and mulch could be extremely clean.
Oh, that's true.
Like, beetles themselves and insects are generally extremely clean animals.
They actually are.
Plus, a lot of people use beetles for cleaning, especially, like, bone cleaning. And you know what? There's a couple of Tumblrs that I follow that are specifically, like, bone reconstruction, bone collection, that kind of thing. You know, skeletal reconstruction and things.
We even complained about it, actually, in the Julian route, where the fact that it was so gross was actually really confusing, because beetles actually require a very specific, basically, environment.
If you get your beetles too wet, they will die.
They will get a fungus and they will die,
or a mold
actually.
and they will die, like, yes.
Like, it the suck. So, and I understand they're supposed to be supernatural beetles, but we always like bringing up things, you know, kind of like how we mentioned, at least when we first were playing it, and I haven't seen it since then, but like, Faust's basically spider ball python thing of going like, hey, that's where this comes from.
Is weird.
It's a neurological disorder.
Not healthy in real life, even cute in cartoon. All right.
Yes.
I think it's interesting, though, that she doesn't pick up one of the beetles, she scoops it up. So, like, picturing her leaning down and then using her hands like you'd cup water to gently sort of scoot one of the beetles into her hand to scoop it up.
I had to say,
unless it's like, I don't know.
Nadia reaches down and plucks one of the beetles up.
Yeah.
Or plucks one of the beetles off the floor, examining it with detached coldness. So pluck would be like, I'm just going to snatch it out of wherever it is.
Right. Yes, I remember. We once used them to dye fabrics. A deep, bloody crimson.
Which is actually really true. In some cultures, you have some beetles you actually do that with, or you use their shells and you make a cool design or pattern with the
I was
shell.
going to say, actually, like, classically, I forget what it is right now. I was like, there's beetles that do, capsicum. I think it's from yellow beetles, like yellow beetle shells. Anyway, I was going to say, so yes, there are beetles that are used for dye, but as far as I know, they're small.
Yeah.
So,
capsicum is really, like, fucking expensive as far as I understand.
And very small beetles. Anyway, I was going to say, I wonder how big these beetles are. I'd be very interested.
Right?
It was all the rage in Vesuvian fashion. When? 3 years ago, when you remember stuff?
Right?
Or, such a shame, says Vlastimil, who snuck up behind you somehow. What's happened to them? Everyone has forgotten about the poor things. Are you really concerned that people aren't killing the bugs to harvest their bodies for dye anymore? It's so sad that people don't want to raise them as a resource.
It sounds like basically, so what I'm hearing, because we've played Julian's route before, so we know, at least what I'm hearing, these are all the plague beetles.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is that they dyed themselves in plague, and then eventually, whenever some point was hit, like, everybody got the plague from their clothes. Which is really funny, because remember that's how they spread smallpox to the natives in America, and actually all across Mesoamerica? Yeah, like, and it was also very deliberate, too. So I'm like, I wonder, it was all the rage, because she was only around there for 3 years, so what she's remembering is I think before the plague started.
Okay, then she would be, but if she wasn't here, because she remembers walking up this, like, on the bridge 3 years ago.
But I'm saying,
so basically, does she mean I walked through Vesuvia and everybody was wearing red?
No, saying that it was the rage once, basically, like, she was married to the Count. Like, it sounds to me like she has a memory from her time of being married to Lucio. Mm-hmm. So she's like, because that was why she got a headache, right? She was going like, I think I remember, and going, oh, it was from this. So I'm like,
I get that.
Plague clothes. But that's hilarious.
But if we died from the plague, if the MC died from the plague 3 years ago,
right,
and her last memory is being on the bridge, she has no memories of even marrying him or making it into the castle.
I mean, maybe they got married elsewhere.
Meaning, if when she was entering the castle for the first time, if she wasn't already married to him, then the plague was already everywhere before she ever married him.
I thought
because it killed him right then.
The timeline is a little weird, isn't it, still?
So maybe they were wearing red clothes back then, but like when would she have been here to see them wearing red clothes and know about that? And if she remembered it from when he was already dead, it wouldn't be plague clothes, unfortunately, because the plague would have already been killing masses of people and been going on for years. Unless it stayed in fashion and it started way before she ever got there. I like your theory. I want it to work better, I guess.
No, that's fine. I mean, that might be asking a little bit much, because there's some coherency here that's
because I would kind of
it's
love
more about
that.
fun more than anything else.
Anyway.
Also, though, I have to say, okay, so I've been sitting on this for a while.
Oh dear.
So, Vlastimil specifically having pointy ears has been kind of cracking me up, and the fact that he is actually, as far as I know, he's basically a demon, he's a monster.
Okay.
So you guys, this is some old lore speaking, but one of the big reasons actually, so in the 1960s original Star Trek, the thing of like Spock being called specifically a demon by a lot of the other characters when it made no sense
was the pointed ears.
Was the pointed ears thing, where a lot of people, I suppose, basically more in like my generation who are basically younger than when it initially came out, they were like, why is, and I didn't know why. I was like, why do they keep calling him a demon? Because I watched the whole series and I was like, why do they keep fucking calling him a demon? It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, because of the associations basically with the imagery from Christianity of going, that's what that was. And I'm like, but it doesn't work anymore because
if you don't have Christianity. So what we're saying is that more and more there really is Christianity and a Christian background here somehow in this world, except for people don't think of him as a demon at all, so there's no connection to that.
Right.
But the imagery is kind of funny.
I'm just sort of entertained.
I just think it's funny that people think he passes for human at all.
Oh, yeah. I've been super amused this whole time that any of them have at all. But that's also, again, where I'm like, we've tried to point out, going like, okay, so if nobody's fucking pointing this out, even as weird as you as the normal player, canonically, these people look normal.
Yes. And since we haven't seen any of the other, like, villagers or other, townspeople or city people, this is apparently a very normal appearance to go around.
Like the same thing about the worms. Nadia not freaking out, nor your MC freaking out.
Or thinking it's strange in any way. Just going, a weird thing. Oh, it's a worm.
Yeah, and then also a giant room of beetles. This is normal. Yeah.
It's a little weird. Such a shame what's happened to them. Everyone has forgotten about the poor things. But not me. No, I haven't forgotten. Vlastimil, how good of you to join us. Again.
A great shriek echoes through the mansion once more, rattling the windows around us.
Oh, are there windows around you?
I actually didn't think there were any windows, but we're out of time!
Oh dear.
Hey, so thank you very much everybody for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos. If you are having a good time with us, please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi and our Patreon. We have some links in the description down below. And I have been Scandal.
And if you want to see us do some of this live on stream, you can also check us out on Twitch, which is linked below the video, where we stream romance or dating games every single Saturday. We would love to see you there. And I have been Scandal, or Lies?
Lies.
Oh my God, I forgot who I was.
Woo, it's okay, I like you too.
And it was great playing with you. Bye!